Hey guys, it's Abby with MotorCityNerds, and welcome to all new subscribers. We're small, but we're awesome. We have a good time. But Happy New Year. We're going into 2024. Happy New Year's Eve when this goes up. But it's also the Dark Lord's birthday. Yeah, welcome. Please hit the like. It really, really helps out small channels like me. Consider subscribing. We're on our way to 2K. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about anything. Tell me your favorite Voldemort scene. I'm on OF, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the things down below. But yeah, let's get into Voldemort. I realized that a long, long time ago, if you've been here from the beginning, and back when I was in a different bedroom area, recording and had no microphone, no light, no nothing, I talked about how dumb it was that HBO was doing this stupid trivia show for Harry Potter and not doing a Voldemort prequel. I don't like prequels, usually. It's not something I get geeked about, but I feel like the Tom Riddle in the past, getting the Horcruxes, is such a different vibe than the Voldemort we see in the movies, and you could fold in the First Order of the Phoenix, and you could fold in the Marauders in their last couple years at Hogwarts / getting out of Hogwarts. And that way everybody gets what they want, because I said you should do a Voldemort prequel, or you should do the Founders. I'm not particularly keen on seeing the Marauders, but I wouldn't hate it. I'm just saying we could fold a lot of things in if it was a Voldemort prequel. And I think it would be interesting to see this suave, charming, good-looking Tom Riddle going around and doing all these things. But I started a whole series of comparing the books to the movies, because I feel like we so often will bash a movie for not doing something a book did and not celebrating the cool things or the good things the movies did either originally and added to the story, or they adapted very well or changed and we liked it. And things we didn't like so much, but I was really hyping up things we did like in the movies. And I never finished that series. So I was like, let's do Deathly Hallows. And as I was taking notes, which I rarely do, but comparing a book to a movie is a lot for my ADHD brain. And then I realized it was Voldemort's birthday. And I was like, oh my God, but you see how he's born on the new year, rebirth, never dying, like constant cycle, time is a flat circle shit. Yeah. Also, excuse me, I half burped in the middle of that. Here's the one thing I would really want. Voldemort is so cold and ruthless. I think we all know things like changing his appearance for the movie, but I do feel like that was a good call because Ralph Fiennes plays it so well, but you really get that acting from the eyes and things like that. I think it works, but yes, Voldemort is much scarier in the books, but not only that, he's so cold and ruthless with some of the things he says. Voldemort is out of pocket 99.9% of the time. I mean, there's more than a couple things that I wish they would have done with Voldemort more. The reason he calls himself Lord Voldemort is because he's special. He's above everybody else. He doesn't want it. There are a lot of Toms. I love that line. There are a lot of Toms. I don't want to. He's not the same. Also emphasizing the similarities between him and Harry. And I know they do, but I wish we saw it just a bit more. Tom Riddle is all about, like, when Dumbledore comes and tells him you can go to Hogwarts, he immediately is declining any help at Diagon Alley. He's like, I don't need none of this shit. I don't need you. I can do everything on my own. Where Harry is the opposite, but both of them came up in a similar way. Voldemort in an orphanage, Harry with an abusive family. Find out they go to this school, and this school is their refuge. Same with Snape, but we're not talking about him right now. His birthday's January 9th, the same as my mom's. And that's why, like, when Dumbledore shows up in Order of the Phoenix and says, it was foolish of you to come here tonight, Tom, that hits hard, because that pisses Voldemort off. It isn't anything else. It's foolish of you to come here tonight, Tom. And I love that in the book, and I think in the movies, Dumbledore will not give him the satisfaction of calling him Voldemort. He calls him Tom. He's like, remember your place. Remember who you are to me, Tom. I see why they dropped it, but I wish they wouldn't have. Like most villains, Voldemort screws up in wanting to be vindictive and hubris and everything like that. But remember in Goblet of Fire, when he takes his blood, specifically, it is often said over and over again in the book, we don't need Harry's blood. We can literally use blood from any foe. We don't need Harry's blood. We can literally bring you back at any point. We don't need to make this big show of it. We don't need to make this big spectacle of it. You don't need his blood. Voldemort thinks, if I use Harry's blood to come back, I'll be able to fuck him up. I'll be able to touch him. That's why him having that line in the fourth one and then them not continuing this was kind of odd to me. Because it wasn't something that you had to cut out. And a part of Voldemort just wants to humiliate Harry and kill him in front of the Death Eaters right when he comes back and prove who's the best in town. Because Voldemort was trying to make a big spectacle of it, not knowing that in doing that and using Harry's blood, he didn't get rid of the protection that Lily had for him, the spell on that. He actually made it worse. I wish they wouldn't have abandoned this, because I do think it's a really interesting wrinkle with the Dursleys. But you know how everybody jokes and says, oh yeah, how can we keep sending this kid back to these abusive aunt and uncle every holiday season? How can we keep doing that and he can't just go somewhere else? It's because Voldemort can't touch him where his blood lies. Lily's blood. Petunia. I was always sad that they cut that extra scene out of the movie of her saying, you didn't just lose your mom in Godric's Hollow that night. I lost my sister. And it really shows kind of, it doesn't give an excuse, but why this resentment towards Harry, looking like his father with his mother's eyes, would piss Petunia off. And why? Because she always blamed James and that world for her sister's death. Never knew why they cut the blood part out. Now, I'm not trying to rag on the movies too bad, I love them. But another one is at least referencing how important teaching is to both Voldemort and Dumbledore, and for different reasons. But Voldemort knows how important it is to mold young minds, and so does Dumbledore. Neither one of them like the politics. And then Voldemort puts the curse on the Defense Against the Dark Arts position, and that's why they can't keep a teacher for more than a year. One scene that I really love, and I think is done really well, is the scene in the first part of the Deathly Hallows when they're all at the table with the Death Eaters. Now, there are already some disgusting implications and lines going on, like, Draco, will you babysit the cubs? And that always irks me, and it should irk you. The way Ralph Fiennes plays Voldemort at that table, and the way he goes, I love this scene when he's like, I need another's wand, and is acting all stupid, and then he's like, what about you, Lucius? And he goes, my lord, and he goes, my lord. It is the funniest shit.
What about you, Lucius? My lord, I require your wand.
And when he takes the wand and breaks it, that's essentially emasculating Lucius in his own house even more. He's really beating this man down. It's the subtle little things Ralph Fiennes does with this character that are awesome. Like, I do this all the time when he goes, well, Neville, I'm sure we'd all be curious to hear what you have to say. But when he does this, I'm like, oh my god, it's my favorite thing. And or with his wand, how easy it is for him. Or just little things Ralph Fiennes does with that character. My lord. And then, oh, man, it's so good. I do want to give the movies credit. They do go there with certain things when they can. Now, here's a couple things where Deathly Hallows really dropped the ball, in my opinion, with this character. One of them is not having him turn to ash and float away. Voldemort dies like a normal person. Like a normal, average person, just like everyone else. And that's telling. I understand at the end of this giant film series why you'd want to do the paper floating away in the wind. But no, he dies like a regular person. One of the best scenes in the entire series, and is one of my main arguing points when people try to bash my boy Horace Slughorn. When Bellatrix gets laid out and blasted by Molly Weasley, Voldemort goes nutso. Voldemort is also in the Great Hall, this special place. That's why it hurts so bad in the sixth one when Bellatrix desecrates it. This is the heart, is the feasts, the banquets. This is the home that we're introduced to Hogwarts, and it's in the Great Hall. Bellatrix gets blown away. Voldemort goes nutso, like blasts everybody's ass back, then continues to fight. Who is he fighting? 3 verse 1 in the middle of the Great Hall. Minerva McGonagall, Kingsley Shacklebolt, and Horace fucking Slughorn. When the rubber hit the road, Horace Slughorn did the right thing. Harry is creeping about in his invisibility cloak, and then he pops out, and then Voldemort's like, oh shit, but it all goes down in the Great Hall. But let me read this quote to you that Voldemort says. He's ridiculing Harry. Is it love again? Dumbledore's favorite solution? Love, which he claimed conquered death. The love did not stop him from falling from the tower and breaking like an old waxwork. Love, which did not prevent me from stamping out your mudblood mother like a cockroach, Potter. And nobody seems to love you enough to run forwards this time and take my curse. So what will stop you from dying now when I strike? Like a cockroach. He says shit like that through the entire book series. I guess it wasn't Snape's memory, so it would be different. But somewhere, they should have stated in dialogue, you didn't even have to show it on screen, just state it out loud from any of these characters, that Lily had a choice. That's the whole point of her giving the protection to Harry, because she could get out of the way. She chose not to. Snape is like, Voldy, please, do not hurt this woman. And he's like, cool, I'll look out for you, my boy, but no promises. So he goes there and tells her, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. And she refuses, and she chooses to die. That's why Harry is protected. It's not just dying for someone. It's you have a choice to live, and you're not taking it. And I wish they would have done that with Lily, and I wish they would have stated that in dialogue. Because it's also another thing Voldemort doesn't understand. He never had his mom. She died giving birth, and his dad never loved her anyway. Oh my god, another one of my favorite scenes ever? When Voldemort is backhanding Harry through Hogwarts.
Hey, you all right?
Let me hit you guys with another one. I think this is from the first one, so Harry's 11. Don't be a fool, snarled the face. Better save your own life and join me, or you'll meet the same end as your parents. They died begging me for mercy. I think he says something about stepping over his dad. Yes, boy, your parents were brave. I killed your father first, and he put up a courageous fight, but your mother needn't have died. She was trying to protect you. Now give me the stone unless you want her to have died in vain. Also, I just think it would be fucking funny to see Voldemort working at Borgin and Burke's. Because it's ridiculous that he's working there. Like, he's way overqualified, but we all know why he's working there. But I'm like, that would be funny to see in a shop. I just want to see Voldemort working at a shop. I think the scene of Voldemort snatching the Elder Wand out of Dumbledore's crypt is one of the most beautiful shots in the entire series. I do love them showing him going after Grindelwald, but I wish they would have included Harry and Dumbledore's conversation. But we'll talk about that more in my big comparison. I definitely think that the Voldemort in the movies versus the one in the books are both great, and they're both iconic. You can't beat the snake charmer, man. But imagine if we got a prequel show and they let him be more ruthless. Imagine if we got to see him, like, really go in there saying things out loud. Like, and there's so much to get across to the audience that I get it, but it really, so when you read it and you hear the dialogue that Voldemort says in the vitriol he has, it's like, oh, and he still says a lot of those things in the movies, but some of it just loses its oomph. I think they show him being a legitimens real well. And that's possessing people, being that skilled at getting in somebody's brain. That's not normal. Voldemort is exceedingly well at those things. That's why he's such a good charmer. 99% of the time he's reading your mind. The one thing that I think they really excelled in with this character was his entrance. Say whatever you want about Goblet of Fire, the movie. I get it. You can cut a bunch of that shit. People get mad at me. Cut, spew. We don't need it. If you're new here, movies are my thing. I love books. I love to read. I love TV. But movies are my first love. So when I'm talking about film, I'm like, no, I get why things needed to be cut. They don't get us from A to B to C. That's what we need in a film. Spew is a slog. Cut it. I'm glad that's cut. The Death Day Party. People get mad when I say that one. Slog. Cut that out. That was smart. You could have cut all of Quidditch and I wouldn't have given a shit. When he returns in Goblet, and he is just... It's like watching a stage play. Ralph Fiennes is owning that entire... He's really going for it. It's great. It's a really great scene. I mean, you're having your big, big bad show up. And they got that across. One of my favorite lines that he does have, that they let him keep in the movies and the book, is kill the spare. That is not talked about enough. And I've said this on record, and I'll say it again. The two saddest parents in film crying over their dead child, and I'm not kidding when I say this, I'm dead serious, they both hit me emotionally the same way, which is crazy to say this. When Don Corleone sees Sonny, and he's my boy, look what they did to my boy. And goddamn Amos Diggory coming out of those stands thinking his son is good, and he's not, and he's, oh my god, it is gut-wrenching. No matter if you sat down and paid attention or if you just walked in and that scene came on, it hits hard. I'll go on record saying that. I think those are two very impactful. I mean, I know you didn't think to hear that today in this Harry Potter video, a comparison to Vito Corleone and Marlon Brando, but with a side character that's in it for 2 minutes in one film. Man, when he kills Cedric, both in the book and the movie, kill the spare. And he's not even like, Peter Pettigrew technically does it, but it's when he's carrying him up and they're first in the graveyard, kill the spare. He's not even a human, he's not even a person, kill the spare. That is so ruthless. It just fits with it being one of the first things we hear this character say before he fully returns. And just how little he looks at human life. Do get that vitriol across in that scene of not just Harry's there, not just Death Eaters, not just Voldemort, but the vitriol he has for his father's bloodline. When he's like, almost forgot you were here, standing on the bones of my father. Like it's disgusting. Like this grave is disgusting. He's essentially desecrating it. I feel like they do get that across. Not hugely, but they do get it across. The spell they use, which Voldemort made up, and they don't acknowledge that, is Flesh of the Servant, willingly given, which is Peter Pettigrew cutting off his hand. Then we get Bone of the Father, unwillingly taken. You dug him up and took his bones. Blood of the Enemy, forcibly taken. Harry's blood. Or is it unknowingly? It's either bone unwillingly or unknowingly. But either way, you desecrated his grave to get it. All in all, I think I just wanted to talk about Voldemort for a while. And how great he is as a character. And he is a great character. And he is a great villain. And I did want to talk about the prequel thing again. But either way, I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. Tell me your favorite Voldemort scenes or quotes or things about this character or things you wish they would have done with this character in the movies. Because there's a ton of stuff. But I understand why it was cut. And I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. I'm on OF. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the things down below. Voldemort, Voldemort, Voldemort. Happy birthday.